Switzerland. With the threat of exodus extinguished, Blaquesmith and I still have the problem of one. Nate Grey. A man with similar powers to mine, only without the hindrance of a techno-organic virus to stifle this power. Blaquesmith is afraid that someone of such great psionic energy could tear asunder the astral plane, the very fabric of our world. He tells me that my hand of friendship to the boy was rejected, and now the world will pay for my naivete. He wants the boy exterminated, without hesitation. I understand but disagree. I call out to Nate, who hovers overhead, and tell him that we had nothing to do with Exodus's appearance here. I inform Nate that I can feel what Exodus did to him. His mind is racing, his power growing, and he won't be able to stop it. Nate asked, why should he believe me? Everyone on this planet has tricked or betrayed him, tried to kill him. He senses our thoughts and fears, and feels we are no different from the rest. Blaquesmith informs me that if I don't have the stomach to kill the boy, then he'll do it himself. He tells me that there is, in their teachings, a failsafe of sorts, a way to eradicate one such as Nate. There is a price to pay. It can only be done once, and not without sacrifice, namely Blaquesmith himself. I hear his words perfectly clear. One such as him, I replied. But you've said all along that Nate shouldn't exist, that he's an error in time. Blaquesmith opens his arms as psionic energy flows through him and tells me that I shouldn't presume that, because he is my teacher, I have heard all the lessons. Nate taunts Blaquesmith, asking him to take his best shot. There ain't nothing that can stop him. What you're saying is this failsafe wasn't intended for Nate Grey. It was only meant to be used against me. Blaquesmith turns, enveloped in his energies, and asks if that matters now. He wishes me a good journey and asks me to always remember our mission. Nate attacks Blaquesmith, who appears to take the full force of the assault. After a powerful onslaught, Nate finds himself feeling drained from such an exertion and ceases his attack. I know that Blaquesmith's psi patterns are fading, but still feel that Nate Grey shouldn't be put down like a rabid dog. His whole life has been spent running from people bent on using him, but if I don't stop Nate and he loses control, he could fry the brains of people across the globe. God help anyone who is psi-sensitive. New York, Holocaust. Another survivor of Nate's world reels in pain from the activity in Europe. His companion, Sebastian Shaw, sees a weakness in Holocaust that he hadn't noticed before and wonders if, in this instance, he has become the dominant party in their alliance. Colorado. Psylocke is recovering from her injuries, received at the hands of Sabretooth, when she suffers in a similar fashion. Archangel tries to comfort her, but she has never experienced pain like this. The Xavier Institute, Salem Center. Jean Grey has finally worked out what happened with Blaquesmith. She now knows they were mind-blocked, which is incredible. She knocks on the professor's door and tells Charles that I had gone off to face Nate Grey alone, and they must act quickly. As she speaks, the battle in Switzerland hits her and Charles alike. She stumbles, knocking over a plant. But for Charles, who is acknowledged as the world's most powerful telepath, this is like a dentist's drill striking a raw nerve. Switzerland. With Nate struggling, I took the chance to press matters. I punch Nate, not knowing how long I'll have before my young opponent recovers. I'm betting a telepath of his level hasn't yet learned to complement that mental ability with physical prowess. As I strike, I feel this is hurting me more than it is Nate. But I can't let my feelings, my empathy, stop me. Nate is tougher than he looks, and he asks me if that's the best I got, 'cause he hasn't even started. He knows what's in my head. He knows how I think that we're both alike in lots of ways. Well, I'm wrong, because I don't know jack about him. He blasted me as I'm sent sprawling to the snow-covered ground. Nate vents his frustrations verbally. He tells me that he's lost everything he had, everything he knew, only to find out that his own body is betraying him. As I pick myself up, I tell him that I have lived through all those things and survived. I ask Nate to look at my arm. Do you think it's for show?
Maybe I misjudged you then. Maybe I ought to listen to you. Maybe.
Nate begins.
You ought to eat this!
He adds, as another massive assault surrounds me in psionic energies. But as they dissipate, Nate notices that I had disappeared. He looks around and senses my presence, but can't see my physical body. Unseen, I appeared behind him. I never tried this trick before. Blaquesmith calls it stepping between the moments. It's almost as if my own power is being augmented by an outside force. I tap Nate on the shoulder, and we continue our physical battle. As we go at it amidst the falling snow, I continue trying my persuasive techniques, reaching out to Nate in the only way I know. Nate talks about his loss and the way his body is betraying him, and I admit I don't know why this is happening. However, those are the things that I lived with every moment of every day. Maybe we can help each other, maybe not, but the harder Nate pushes me away, the more the chance that he'll lose total control. I promise Nate that unless he backs down, I'm gonna put him down. He smashes down on my head with his fists and tells me that I have guts. He'll give me that. He doesn't know how much more punishment I can stand, and make no mistake, I am the one going down. As I struggle, I understand. I must push past my opponent's rage and find a way to get through to him.
Get out of my head!
Nate exclaims as I enter his mind once again.
I can make you stop! I can make you do anything!
He shouts as he shoves me out of his mind. My techno-organic virus begins to spread over my face as I took everything Nate had. But I warn Nate that I don't ever give up. Nate lets out a cry before plummeting to earth, drained of energy, having pushed his powers beyond their physical limits. As powerful as he is, no human vessel was ever meant to contain such power. I walked over to the unconscious Nate lying in the snow and tell him that there were times during this encounter when I actually envied him. His life holds such promise, and none of my own regrets. No techno-organic virus, no chosen one. Nate is what I could have been in another life. I'm not going to let Nate die, no matter what it costs me. I kneel behind Nate and held his head in the palm of my hands. Blaquesmith chooses this opportunity to reappear and tells me that I know what must be done. I was wondering when he'd return. You time-shifted, didn't you, when the boy attacked you? Blaquesmith replies. Ever the master of the obvious, Nathan. I replied, only when I'm dealing with someone as manipulative as he is. Blaquesmith kneels and asks me how I can turn from the path which has been chosen for me. How can I not see that the threat this time-lost misanthrope poses to all that is Ascani by name and by birth? I replied that this is the difference between myself and Blaquesmith. You've guarded their path for so long. You can no longer see any other way. Where he sees a threat to what is to come, I find the possibility of hope. While Blaquesmith can only label him the enemy, I want him for an ally. Blaquesmith is adamant that his way is correct and once more calls for me to take my weapon and erase what should have never been. I maintain my hold of Nate's head in my hands and replied that if he wants the trigger pulled, then he'll have to pull it twice. 'Cause I'm saving this kid's life. Blaquesmith loses himself in his thoughts. Has he made a mistake? Is destiny something that is to be created with time, built by action, and not blindly followed? I informed them that Nate's body is somehow able to recharge its psionic energy, but he needs help. It'll be like restitching a mind that's been torn apart. I don't know if I have the power or the knowledge to do this. Blaquesmith again asked me not to. Finds it amazing that I seem to be using my power in ways I shouldn't yet be able to. I channeled my psionic energy through myself into Nate, asking him to show me the way. What I find is a mind in tatters. An injury that no power on Earth should be able to fix. But I'm not just any man. I called upon every ounce of my psionic power, and then pushed further. Finally, deep within Nate's fractured psyche, two souls meet. Inside Nate's mind, I asked him to come with me. Nate says, "But I have to trust you." And I replied that he has to start sometime, and it's now or never. Nate takes my hand, finally acknowledging my honesty, but even as his mind is being woven back together by me, my own body is coming apart. Eventually, I let go of the boy and exclaim that he'll live. My techno-organic virus, however, has been left so long unchecked, it has been allowed to grow anew. Blaquesmith hopes that I haven't sacrificed myself 2,000 years in the past, because where would that leave the future? Eventually, Blaquesmith and I depart, leaving Threnody with Nate to assure him that he'll live. The only thing is that they're in the middle of nowhere, freezing, and they have to get out of there. Aboard Blaquesmith's ship, I am resting, watched over by my mentor. He doesn't know if I will ever recover, and if I do, will I have the strength to complete the task I was born to play? But do I even care? Has this new twist changed me forever? I woke up and replied that he shouldn't count me out yet. Certainly our relationship has changed. Far too many truths have emerged. Suddenly, I feel Domino psi-linking with me. X-Force is in grave danger. Blaquesmith knows I can barely move, but I ordered him to get me to New York. Now! Elsewhere, Post watches a mental image created by Onslaught of myself and Nate in the snow. Onslaught tells Post that we both pose the greatest threat to his agenda. He had hoped that this encounter would be more conclusive, but he has plans for young Nate Grey, which should now go undisturbed. That leaves Cable, replies Post. Onslaught knows, and he says that given Post's past history with me, he hopes that this will not be a problem.
No problem, Onslaught. No problem at all.